So we are talking about operators, right? So we have talked about arithmetic operators where we can do calculations, we can add two numbers, we can subtract two numbers. In fact, we have also seen how do we increment a value and decrement, right? Now it's time to enhance and go towards something called relational operators. In real world, what we do is we basically have we compare things, right? So it can be comparing two values, and if you can check with the help of less than, you can check with the help of greater than. You can also compare with two values, right? If they are equal or not. So we use something called equal to there, right? What if you want to negate something? What if you want to find a negative weight? Example. If you have a true value, maybe you want to make it false. So in that case, we also have to move from true to false, right? So basically, we want to implement this with the help of operators in programming language. Now, specific to Java, if we talk about, we have different operators. We can use less than to compare with the help of less than or less than. The first value should be less than second value. If that is true, of course, you will get true value. We can also check for greater than, we can also check for equal to. Now, the only difference is when you talk about equal to, in programming, specifically for Java, equal to means assignment operator. Example, let's say, if you have a value which is 5 and you want to assign that to a particular variable, let's say x, so you say x equal to 5. So this equal to symbol here actually becomes your assignment operator. But what we want here is we want to compare two values, right? So that's why we use double equal to. So in programming, in Java, we use double equal to compare two values. What if you want to check if two values are not equal? In that case, we can say exclamation and equal to. Okay, that's what you say, it is not equal to. So this is comparing for equal and this is comparing for not equal. And this is of course less than, this is greater than. And you can also combine. Example, if you remember in mathematics, we use this symbol which is less than equal to. In the same way, of course, we don't have this key on the keyboard. So we have to use less than, okay. So we have to use less than equal to for this particular combination. We can also say greater than equal to, right? So we can use all this combination which comes up as a part of a relational operator. Now, basically, when you compare these two values, example, let's say if I want to compare if 7 is less than 5, so this will return you a value which is true or false. So it will be either true or false. Of course, we got a static value here, which is 7 and 5. So the output for this will be, of course, false. But if you say 5 is less than 6, yes, that's true. So that's how you define, that's how you compare two values, and that's how you get the output. The point to remember here is the output which you're going to receive is a Boolean value, okay? Now, how do we implement that in a code? So let's go for it. So let's say we have our code here, and in this, what I'm gonna do is I have two values, let's say. Integer, I can say x equal to 6, and then I got y is equal to 5, and now I want to compare these two values. The way you can do that is, of course, when you compare these two values, you will get a Boolean value. So I can say Boolean, I can say result is equal to. Now, how do you store a value and how do you compare? So first of all, storing is easy. You can just assign the value, but how will you compare? In that case, you can say x is less than y. And of course, that's available on keyboard, so you can directly use it. And what I want to do is I just want to print the output here. So I can say system.out.println. Just for printing stuff, and then I can just say result. Now, the moment you say result, it will print the output, and of course you have to compile this code. And the way you can do that is by saying java c demo.java, enter. Okay, there is no issue with the compiling because the syntax looks good. And now I will just run this. I will say java demo, enter, and you can see we got false. Now, why we got false is because the value for x is 6 and the value for y is 5. So the first value is not less than second value, and that's why we got false. But if you say greater than symbol here, it actually makes sense because that's remember, every time you make a change, first you have to compile the code and then you can run the code. And you can see we got true this time. So basically that's how you can compare two values and you can print it. But what if these two values are equal? So let's say we got 6 and 6. And now if we try to run this code, of course, compile and run, you can see we got false. Okay, but then they are equal, right? So maybe I want to check if two values, if the first value should be either greater or it should be equal. So we can put that equal to symbol here as already discussed. And now I can just compile and run, and you can see we got true. So this is working. We can also check for less than, even that works because it's equal, right? And anyway, we have equal, so it should work. So we got true. We can also check if two values are not equal. Example, let's say, I just want to make sure that X and Y are not same. And the way you can do that here is by saying not equal to. So when we say not, it simply means it will, when you say exclamation, it simply means not. So not equal to Y. And with this, if I try to compile and run, you can see we got true. So even this is working. But what if you don't want to check for less than and greater than, you want to check if the two values are exactly equal. So in this case, normally in mathematics, we use equal to, but that will not work here. So you have to use double equal to. So you're comparing X with Y and they should be equal. Clear the screen, compile and run, and you can see we got false. The reason we got false is because we have both the different values. So if I make it same now, and if I run this code, compile and run, and you can see we got true. So basically, we have different operators, and this will be used a lot in the upcoming sessions. So it doesn't matter whatever programming you do. See, when you say your computer has a brain, we have to decide based on some values. Of course, I have just checked it with integer. You can try it with float as well. In fact, maybe I can try with double. So I can simply say double here, and I can say this is 8.8, and I can say double, which is, let's say 6, maybe 9.8. And I can just check if they are less than equal to. And of course, I want you to try different values there and compile, no issue, run, and you can see we got true. But if you check with the greater than symbol, this should give you false. And we got false. So basically, whenever you have a primitive value, this actually works. Maybe once we start with string, we also try to compare the string values, and let's see how that turns out to be. But this is how you do your relational and relational operator checking with the help of relational operators. We got less than, greater than, equal to symbol, which is double equal to, not equal to, that's one. Yeah, so this makes sense, right? But what if you have two conditions? Example, let's say I got this values, and now I have int a equal to 8 and int b equal to 6. So I want to check if, I want this x to be less than y, and I also want this a to be less than b. I want to check both the operation. And the thing is, when we say I want to check both the things should be true, then only it should print true. How will you do that? How will you combine two different operations or two different checkings? That we'll see in the next video.